Okay, so are you ready to like dive back into Grotesquerie?
Uh-huh.
Because episode 7 is wild, like seriously wild. You're all caught up through episode 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Lois and her suspicions about Sister Megan being involved with Grotesquerie.
Yeah, things were getting pretty
Right,
intense.
well, buckle up, because episode 7 throws everything we thought we knew out the window. Like, it starts with this totally normal dinner scene. Lois, Merritt, Fast Eddie. But something's off right from the start.
It's energy.
The energy is just weird.
Yeah.
And Lois is just like straight up hostile, like almost bitter,
Yeah.
even implying that something already happened between her and Fast Eddie, and saying the relationship is doomed. It's so strange after that almost flirty moment they had last episode.
Yeah, it makes you do a double take. Like, did I imagine that? It makes you wonder if the writers messed up or if something else is going on.
Exactly. It's like, wait a minute, is this even the same show?
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting weirder because the very next thing we see is Lois at the hospital with Marshall, who's still in coma.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really dark. Lois just decides to take him off life support. Just like that.
It's cold. Like, it's just so sudden. This isn't a heartbroken wife agonizing over an impossible choice or anything. It's just like, next.
Yeah.
Nurse Red's reaction, she's like horrified, really emphasizes how messed up the whole thing is.
It's like she's a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And the hits just keep coming. We cut to a party at Lois's work, and everyone's celebrating catching Grotesquerie. Except plot twist. It turns out Grotesquerie was Father Charlie the whole time. Apparently on some twisted mission to bring people back to the church. I mean, come on.
Seriously, it's like they took this totally crazy idea, a serial killer driven by like religious zeal, and used it to just upend everything we thought we knew about the show. And you have to notice the power dynamics too. Lois is being forced out, right?
Yeah.
Early retirement because of her drinking.
Oh, totally.
They think she's unstable, unreliable. But who benefits from Grotesquerie's capture?
Sister Megan. She gets a huge promotion. Editor and publisher of the Catholic Guardian. Ouch. Like, that's got to sting.
Talk about rubbing salt in the wound.
Seriously. It just plays right into those suspicions Lois has about her.
Right. Like, how convenient is that? And this is where things get really interesting. This is where it goes from, like, unsettling to actually scary. Okay, so Lois is convinced Sister Megan is involved with Father Charlie's crimes, right? So she invites her over for dinner.
Oh, boy.
And it starts with this super tense confrontation, and it just explodes from there.
It's like one of those car crashes you can't look away from. You know something awful is about to happen, but you're glued to the screen. So Lois just flat out accuses Sister Megan.
Right to her face.
And the really creepy part of how Sister Megan reacts, or doesn't react.
There's no denying it, no freaking out, just this creepy confession, like she's totally calm. It's so weird because it confirms what you were thinking about Sister Megan, but it's way worse than you could have imagined.
And then just when you think it can't get more intense, bam! Boiling soup, a fight, and Lois is dead. Or so we think. It's graphic and brutal. Like, you need a shower after that scene.
But wait, remember the soup? The show keeps showing that pot of soup like over and over. It was in the first episode too. Lois was making it for Marshall back when things were good between them.
You're right. It's like the show's trying to tell us something, like what we're seeing isn't the whole story. And then what you know, next scene, biggest twist ever. Marshall is awake.
Out of his coma.
Yeah. And he's with Nurse Red, who's now a cam girl. I don't even...
Right. And they're fighting because she cheated on him.
Total role reversal. It's like the writers hit the reset button, but everything's like twisted and wrong.
Father Charlie's a doctor now.
Yeah. And Sister Megan's a cop.
It's like, what is even happening?
Seriously. And doesn't it seem like everyone keeps telling Lois to wake up?
Like it's a hint or something? Like they know it's all fake and we're the only ones who don't?
Right. And then boom. The biggest reveal. It was all a dream. The creator of the show confirmed it. The first 6 episodes were all Lois's coma dream.
Everything we thought we knew about the show was just in her head. The murders, the weird relationships, all of it.
Talk about a mind-blowing twist.
Yeah.
Makes you question everything. So what does this mean for Lois? How much of that dream was really just her own fears and anxieties?
Right. It's like waking up from a nightmare, but then realizing real life is just as messed up, just in a totally different way.
I mean, talk about a genius move by the writers.
Right.
Spend 6 episodes building this whole twisted world, and then bam, psych. None of it was real.
Total mind game.
Makes you wonder about reality, doesn't it? Like, what's real, what isn't? How much of what we see is just in our own heads?
Absolutely. It makes you think about how we tell ourselves stories, not just in our dreams, but like in real life too.
Right.
Think about it. Lois is in this coma, and she creates this whole intricate story in her head. She casts everyone around her in these specific roles. The villain, the victim, even the hot doctor.
And the people in her dream, they weren't just random, were they?
Nope.
They were all based on people she actually knows. People she already has these, like, messy relationships with.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, they were all amped up in the dream.
Of course, yeah.
But they still came from her subconscious roots.
Which makes you wonder, what does this say about Lois? Like, what's going on in her head? What's she afraid of? What does she want? The show doesn't tell us outright, but it definitely makes you think that even our nightmares can tell us something about ourselves.
Whoa.
Right.
So much to unpack there. So, like, where does Lois even go from here? She wakes up and her whole world is different. Her daughter's a scientist now, not this messed up kid from her dream.
Yeah.
And Marshall, well, he's moved on with Nurse Red.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Imagine the conversations. Trying to explain why you did something in a dream.
I can't even imagine.
How do you even start that conversation? And will people even believe her?
That's a whole other level of messed up. And you know the writers are going to make her face it. They're not going to let her off the hook, that's for sure. So we only have a few episodes left. How's she going to deal with this new reality?
That's what I want to know.
It's going to be good. This is what makes Grotesquerie so good. It's not afraid to push boundaries. It's like they're holding up a mirror to all our deepest, darkest fears. And it makes you think twice about everything.
Seriously, and the show sticks with you long after it's over. You're still thinking about it. Like, what did I just watch? And sometimes that's the scariest part of all.
For sure. This episode taught us one thing. Reality is a lot more complicated than we think it is. And as we head into these last few episodes of Grotesquerie, oh man, get ready for more twists and turns. Until then, keep watching. And remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves.